Hey everybody, Nicholas here, and you are listening to the Hound on the Run podcast. I am flying solo today, and we have a lot of great news stories to cover, one of which hits extremely close to home, and I'm kind of fired up about it. But before we get into all that, in case you're new here or tuning in for the first time, I want to take a second to fill you all in on what this show is about so you know what to expect. So I am a writer, a YouTuber, a podcaster, but really, more than all of that, I am a hound enthusiast. And what that means is I'm the proud owner of a full pack of coonhounds, and we hunt bobcats and raccoons here in the coastal mountains of Oregon. I wrote a book called Cat Dog Chronicles where I share the journey I've been on learning how to hunt bobcats with my dogs. It's available on Amazon, so you can go check that out if you like. And I also publish videos on YouTube where I try to show what it's really like to hunt with hounds, from my perspective anyway, because I've found that the general public just have no idea what is really involved, and it's not what most people think it is. So this podcast is really an outgrowth of all that, and we cover a wide range of topics, all centered around hounds, hunting with hounds, dogs in general, the wild animals we pursue, the lands we chase them on, and the political and cultural issues we all face as hound hunters living in modern society. So if you're into that kind of stuff, maybe you're a hound hunter yourself, maybe you just think hound dogs are cool, or maybe you're a wildlife enthusiast like me, you, my dear listener, are in the right place. If you've managed to make it this far into the episode, I really hope you stay with me till the end, and I will do my best to make it worth your while. I have a very Pacific Northwest themed episode for you today, but before we get into that, just a couple more quick announcements. One about something very cool that's happening on YouTube on Monday nights. I really want you to know about it, so stay tuned. Okay, so before we get into that announcement, I just want to let you all know that the Hound on the Run hotline is officially open and ready for your calls. What is this hotline I speak of, you might ask? Well, it's a voicemail box that I set up just for the podcast so that when you're listening, if we talk about a topic that you know about or want to comment on or have feedback on or have a fact check or you just want to talk some smack, that's totally fine. Give us a call at 971-301-4884 and leave a voicemail. Speak your mind. I really want to hear from you guys, so give us a call. Okay, so that announcement I mentioned is that every Monday night on YouTube, I've been invited to be part of a live stream series with a group of guys who I affectionately refer to as the Hound Tubers. So this live stream is taking place on the Interviews, Stories, and Tales YouTube channel, which is run by Brett Vaughn, who you probably know from Born 100 Years Too Late. We also have Chris Watson from Anecdote of a Houndsman, George Lambert from Mountain Music and Mules, and Jonathan Jones from Uncle Pawpaw Johnny. I think Jonathan is the only one who is not currently running hounds, but everyone else are just hardcore hound hunters and mule guys. I'm the only one without a mule, so Jonathan doesn't have a mule either, but I feel very left out. I wish I had a mule. I named my truck the Mule, but that doesn't count apparently. But basically every Monday night we've been getting on this live stream and the conversation can just really go anywhere, but it's been a ton of fun chatting with these guys, hanging out and taking questions from the viewers. So you can get on there, you can chat with us, and we will read your questions and talk about them. So it's just been a really good time. Please tune in. It's happening every Monday night at 6:30 p.m. Central Time. That is 5:30 Mountain Time and 4:30 Pacific Time. So hop on, subscribe to that Interviews, Stories, and Tales YouTube channel, and hit the notification bell so that you get alerted right when we go live. So look forward to that, and I hope to see you on the live stream. Now, let's get into some news. Okay, so if you've watched any of my YouTube videos or read my book or read any of my newsletter articles on my website, you know that I live in Oregon. And if you know anything about hound hunting in the US, you know that certain states have some pretty ridiculous laws surrounding hound hunting. Basically, every year, new legislation is getting introduced to try to limit what we can do in the woods with our dogs. And luckily, there are great groups out there like Sportsman's Alliance, Howl for Wildlife, and a ton of others. Just too many to mention. A lot of great hound clubs that are really fighting all this legislation stuff. So there's a lot of work being done on that front, but it's a constant battle as they're constantly chipping away at what we love to do with our dogs. But there are also other factors that come into play in other groups and organizations that are not necessarily trying to limit what we do, but actually limiting what we can do with our dogs in the woods, and specifically where we can take our dogs and the land we can actually hunt them on. So before we really get into it here, I just want to note that you probably have not heard of this story unless you actually live in Oregon, and this affects you directly, because there have been no news articles, no news outlets have covered it. Basically, this comes down to a rule change that was made by this specific private landowner. They just quietly made this rule, which I guess they have the right to do, but they basically kicked hound hunters off their land. And that company is Weyerhaeuser. So Weyerhaeuser has effectively banned hound hunting from their permit properties. It's probably gonna take me a minute to kind of unravel what this all means, especially for listeners who are not in Oregon and who don't really know how private land hunting works out here. We have a ton of public land, but all that public land is really super intermixed with private timberland. The timber industry out here is huge, and active timberland, like where they're actually, actively harvesting timber and managing the landscape in that way, is some of the best hunting ground because, well, it's beyond my pay grade exactly why it's so good, but yeah, I know there's a lot of bobcats that hang out on these timber company lands. So this is specifically about Weyerhaeuser's permit properties, and I'll try to explain how all that works. Basically, several years ago, they made a change where you used to be able to all of their land, or most of their land, used to be publicly accessible. Basically, you could just go and hunt their land, and it was great. This is kind of before my time when I really started getting into hunting, so I didn't have much experience with that directly. They still have a lot of land that is like that, where you can just, you can just access it, you can just go on it. They have some deals, they call them travel management areas. They have some of those worked out with ODFW, so Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. They have these arrangements that basically make it so hunters can access their land. But they also have they introduced this permit system where if you want to hunt these specific chunks of their land, you have to buy a permit from them, an access permit, which is quite expensive. So 2 years ago, I actually bought one of these permits to access their property, and it was awesome. The hunting, it wasn't actually as great as I was expecting it to be. There was some bobcats on their land, but not really the numbers we were expecting to see. Still, it was amazing to be able to drive. It was pretty close to home too, so that was another benefit for me. But it's amazing to just be able to drive out there. You open the gate, you drive through, you lock the gate behind you, and anytime I went there, I pretty much had the whole place to myself. It was just incredible, especially because I had pretty young dogs at the time, and that was when I was really just learning how to hunt bobcats. And so just being able to have the run of the place, and you know more about who you're going to run into. Way less likely to just run into like strings of cars, and like that'll happen a lot here in Oregon. We have some great hiking. So there's, every weekend you've got hordes of people from Portland and Salem heading into the mountains to go hiking. Well, you end up there ends up being some conflict between hound hunters and those hikers because, our dogs will be across a road, and then some person in a Subaru sees the dogs and they want to go and help them, and it's not helpful. So being able to hunt behind locked gates, like, I didn't have any problems with any other people in the woods, and it was amazing. I didn't get the permit last year because, it was expensive, and I literally couldn't afford it. And I think they were like $300. So, not crazy, but still, like, that's $300. That's, 6 bags of dog food for me. So that's a couple months of dog food. So I didn't get it last year. And then I didn't get it this year because of this new rule they put in place. So for a long time, as long as they've had the permits, hound hunters could still access their land and hunt bobcats and raccoons. That's all we legally can hunt here in Oregon. So they added this rule in, and let me read it. So they have an FAQ page on their website where they kind of, list out all their rules, what you can and can't do. And so that's my understanding. That's kind of the main reference. When you buy the permit, they send you a packet that has, all the rules printed out. But I'd have to look again, but I'm pretty sure it matched up almost exactly with what's on their FAQ page. So, can I bring my dogs? Dogs, and this is what they say, dogs not used for pursuit and or hunting small game are welcome on the property as long as you can control them at all times, verbally, leashes, or by using collars. And I'm assuming they mean GPS collars. The use of dogs for pursuit or hunting small game is prohibited, in bold letters. Weyerhaeuser, permits are for personal use only and do not allow any commercial sales of animal, fur, pelts, feathers. Upland game bird and waterfowl hunting with dogs is allowed per the state designated hunting seasons and regulations. So, I got a lot of feelings about all that because why? Just why? Whenever I went to these properties, I was literally the only person there. They have big signs that anytime there's one of the rules is you're supposed to stay out of active logging operations. They put huge signs. They're very easy to avoid. I never had any problems with that. So I'm just wondering what prompted this. And that's why I wanted to talk about it today and kind of unravel it. So one of the first questions I had was, is this rule for all of Weyerhaeuser land, or is it only for their permit area? So I had to go on a investigative search online to kind of figure that out because they don't really say it explicitly anywhere. And so I just started looking through all the rules that I could find for Weyerhaeuser online. So this here is from the map that's provided by Oregon Department of Fish and Wildlife. And this is from one of their travel management area maps. My understanding is they have the rules kind of listed for each of the private landowners that are part of that travel management area arrangement. So, you look on the map, it's all color coded. So which land is which, who owns what. And then over on the side in the legend, they give you a contact number for the landowner and they say the specific rules that apply to that specific land. So under Weyerhaeuser, there's no mention of dogs at all. So posted yellow travel management area signed roads are closed to motor vehicles year round. At fire season level 3, all roads are walk-in only, no motor vehicles. At fire season level 4, no public access. When lands are open, access is permitted 1 hour before sunrise to 1 hour after sunset. So did you hear the word dog? I didn't. No mention of dogs at all. So that's good. That's good news. So to me, that means hound hunters are still fully allowed on Weyerhaeuser land that's within travel management areas. Do not quote me on that, okay? If you go and get yourself trespassed on their land, that's on you, okay? Call Weyerhaeuser, ask them. I sent them an email to get clarification on a lot of these questions I have for them, but I haven't heard back yet. So when I do, I will probably make another video or talk about it on the podcast again. So yeah, so that's good. It sounds like it is only the permit properties. I also looked on, so this is from ODFW's open access article on their website. So their open access program is again, it's like those I think the travel management area project is part of their open access program. And so, yeah, that's another, what to me would seem like an authoritative source of rules for accessing Weyerhaeuser land. So again, I'm not going to read all these bullet points, but there's the only mention of hound is that you can't rock hound. I guess that's picking up colorful rocks or something. I don't know. Rock hounding, digging, gold panning, or removal of any rocks or minerals is prohibited. That's the only mention of hound. There's no mention of dogs at all. So again, that's further confirmation that I think we're good to keep accessing Weyerhaeuser land that's part of these travel management areas. So that's good. Now, I started... Yeah, so I was hoping to find a write-up, like a press release or something official from Weyerhaeuser saying why they are no longer allowing hound hunters on their permit properties. And through researching that, I found out that this is not the first time that Weyerhaeuser has banned hunting dogs from their properties. So not only is Weyerhaeuser big here in Oregon and Washington and the Northwest, they're massive. Like, most hunters would know that they have land all over the country. When I lived down in Louisiana, I knew there was Weyerhaeuser land there as well. And it's not as common out here in Oregon, but it seems like in other parts of the country, they do a lot more leases. So instead of these permits, different hunting clubs are actually leasing big tracts of land that they can hunt on, and it's kind of, theirs to use. So apparently back in 2014, Weyerhaeuser, this was actually in Louisiana, and I don't know how far stretching it was, because like this stuff, it's really difficult to find any, factual information about these kind of rules and policy changes and stuff. But it sounds like they actually they banned hunting dogs from these leases. I did find out that it does look like they actually reinstated dog hunting in the South region of those Weyerhaeuser leases. So I found in their hunting lease guide for the South region, which again was difficult to track down. I couldn't find a 2023 version. I could only find the 2018 version. But based on the rules in there, it does sound like they reinstated hound hunting on those lease properties. Hopefully, I hope that's the case for them. So they mention in one of the rules, they mention safety during dog or hunter drives. During hunts with dogs or people driving the game, be certain there is a sufficient distance between shooters. Hunters should be required to maintain the stand site until the drive is finished. Drivers should wear safety vests and hats that are clearly visible. So they're telling you, here's what you need to watch out for when you're doing a dog drive. So to me, they went back to allowing hound hunters to use those lease properties. So I'm an optimistic person. So to me, that means there is hope that maybe they'll consider letting hound hunters back on these permit properties here in Oregon. And Oregon and Washington. So it's all part of the same permit program. They have a lot of different permit properties. They're really nice. I mean, they really are. It was a great experience, when I had that permit. And I was actually going to buy it again this year. But yeah, it was a no-go. I found out they didn't announce it anywhere. It was the dumb thing. I started looking at the different permit properties and, to see what was going to be available in case there's anything new. And I read through the FAQ, and when I got to that FAQ, like I couldn't believe my eyes. I couldn't believe that they are prohibiting hunting dogs. Again, so I looked here. So I continued researching, and I saw there was no mention that hunting dogs are not allowed on Weyerhaeuser's leases. So again, further confirmation that they did reinstate hunters being able to bring their dogs onto these lease properties. So this is a little screenshot of the FAQ for their leases specifically. There's no mention of dogs at all, which means it's good. They're good to go. But this is what really drives me crazy. Why are bird dogs allowed on their permit properties, but hounds are not? You can sell feathers, right? So if it's a commercial, that's what I felt like the main argument was, is that maybe they caught some guys harvesting bobcats and selling the furs. I don't know how they would track that down or prove that. And that rule's been in place forever. So I feel like there's more to the story. What's the real reason? What is the real reason why they're banning hound hunters from their permit properties? My other theory was, okay, well, maybe they had some run-ins, maybe some hound hunters, maybe their dogs went and interfered with an active logging operation. But if that's the case, those guys should be in trouble. Why change this whole thing? Maybe there was just too many incidences of it happening, and they're just like, we're over this. You guys ruined it for yourselves. I hope that's not the case. But I'm assuming that's part of it. But it's just, there's some inconsistencies. So that's fine. We don't have to sell the furs. Like, I don't know. I don't do that, obviously. I don't know anyone who actually sells bobcat pelts, but there are people who do that. I feel like most people who are actually selling hides are probably trapping them, probably get more money. Who knows? I don't know how that works. But you can sell feathers, right? I know people probably don't as much, but you technically can. So why are bird dogs still allowed? It just doesn't make any sense. Okay, so that's kind of where I'm at with this so far. So I am going to keep looking into this, and there's a couple people I want to talk to. I wrote Weyerhaeuser an email. Maybe I'll share that in the next little piece I do on this. Basically just asking them some questions, and yeah, it's just like, why? We'll give you money. We paid like everyone else did. So if it's a few bad actors that ruin this for everybody, shame on you. Come on. It's just crazy. And I'm really bummed about it because I was looking forward to getting a permit for their property again. Just so the hunting wasn't as great as I was hoping for, but it was still decent. And more than anything, what I ended up using the permit property for was just exercising my dogs. So after the bobcat season ended, I would go up there constantly because no one was up there. And I had this nice little circuit, little loop I would do, just rode the dogs, get like 10 miles in, and then we head home and be a couple hours, just super convenient. So I really, really hope that they will revert this rule change. So yeah, I'm hoping to talk with some people at Weyerhaeuser, and there's a couple other people from kind of some sportsmen's groups that I know are aware of this issue, and I've heard one of them is talking with Weyerhaeuser about it. So yeah, I'm going to try to get him. Hopefully I can get him on the podcast so we can really hash this out and see what we can do. So that's all I got on this story. Let's move on. Okay, so another Pacific Northwest story, and this one, the write-up is coming from the Sportsman's Alliance website, and this is actually something they took direct action on. So the headline is, Victory! Judge declares Washington Game Commissioner violated law. Okay, so that pretty lady there, she's real pretty. That's the game commissioner they're talking about. And what this relates to is We've talked about a little bit on the podcast before, but I'm not a subject matter expert. I really don't know the details enough. It's one of those kind of things. It's like, okay, if this directly affected me, I'd be more inclined to know the ins and outs of it. But hey, I'm only a human, okay? I'm only a man. But this relates to the spring bear hunt debacle up in Washington State. So basically, they just eliminated the spring bear hunt in Washington for no reason at all. Not scientifically based, even a little bit. In fact, the opposite. It goes against the science to cancel the spring bear hunt. And then I think they brought it back under some conditions. And yeah, anyways, it was just like, this is a crazy story because, apparently the whole, I don't know the details enough, but this is a good article to talk about. So let's move on here. Okay, so the article reads as follows. Today, June 30, Washington State Superior Court Judge Mary Sue Wilson issued a declaratory judgment in favor of the Sportsmen's Alliance Foundation's claim that Fish and Wildlife Commissioner Lorna Smith was in violation of state law prohibiting commissioners from simultaneously holding another elected or appointive office. So apparently that's a no-no. We're very pleased with today's decision that affirms Miss Smith has been violating state law for more than 2 years while crafting policy that undermines scientific wildlife management and damages the state's traditions of hunting and fishing, said Todd Atkins, Vice President of Government Affairs for the Sportsmen's Alliance. It's reassuring to see that law still matters in Washington State, something the Fish and Wildlife Commission would do well to remember in the future. Smith, who was appointed to the commission in January 2021, has long served on the Jefferson County Planning Commission. With her bio on Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife website pointing out that she is, quote unquote, quote, currently serving her second and third terms in this position. Washington law is clear on this question. RCW 77.04.040 states that members of the WFWC quote, shall not hold another state, county, or municipal elective or appointive office. After her declarative order, Judge Wilson asked the parties to discuss options to resolve the ongoing violation. The Sportsmen's Alliance is currently reviewing alternatives and will have more to report on the final resolution of this case in the coming days and weeks. Smith is among a group of new commissioners pushing an extremist view of fish and wildlife management and is adamantly opposed to the North American model of wildlife conservation. Smith was a driving force behind the canceling of the spring black bear hunt and has pressed for other initiatives to destabilize traditional management approaches and systems in the state. The Sportsmen's Alliance has been watching the actions of WFWC for more than 2 years and filed the lawsuit on behalf of its members and sportsmen throughout the state. Joining the lawsuit were 2 Sportsmen's Alliance members who are residents of Washington. The case is USSAF vs. Smith, number 23-2-00660-34. Okay, so that's good. They're making progress on this, but the damage has been done. That's the terrible part. So this lady became a commissioner illegally, effectively. She shouldn't have been in that position. Yet at the same time, she's pushing these extreme anti-hunting agendas, which doesn't make any sense. Why would you? Well, I guess it does make sense. Why would you want to work at a fish and game department if you're against hunting? Because you're corrupt. Moving on. Bobcat attacks sleeping camp counselor in hammock, officials say. Witnesses fight back. Okay, so the picture here is a boat because apparently this happened out on an island with some like group camp thing. Oh boy. I would not want to be attacked by a bobcat. Bobcats are vicious. A bobcat attacked a camp counselor while he was on a youth trip in Connecticut, officials told news outlets. At 2 8:04 a.m. on June 30th, Deep River fire personnel responded to Selden Neck State Park in Lyme after getting reports of an animal attack, according to a Facebook post by the department. The man was attacked by a bobcat while sleeping in a hammock. CT, I think it's Connecticut. Yeah, I think this happened in Connecticut. CT Insider reported. The Department of Energy and Environmental Protection told NBC Connecticut the counselor who was attacked and 2 other youth group leaders killed the bobcat. Okay, so this dude's sleeping. It happened at 2:04 in the morning. So, like, he was actually like sleeping through the night, not just taking a nap or something. And this bobcat comes and attacks him. I'd like to know details of how that went down. Like, what exactly happened? Did he sneak up on you? What were you doing? Did you have food? Did you go to bed? Did you get in your hammock with a can of sardines? Did you have smoked salmon in your pocket? Sir, what were you doing to attract the attention of this bobcat? Maybe we'll never know. But my bigger question now is, how the hell did they kill the bobcat? I mean, seriously. I guarantee they didn't have any dogs with them. Maybe they had a gun. But it doesn't say. Of course it doesn't say. Why would they? Of course, they withhold the best part of the story. How'd they kill the bobcat? It's crazy. And that leads into this story, which is part of the same incident. Oh, no, here we go. It's continued. The 3 adults and 9 minors were transported to the Deep River town landing where ambulances were waiting, according to the Facebook post. The adults went to the hospital, Connecticut Insider reported. Officials with Deep told Connecticut Insider the bobcat didn't have any contact with the campers. The animal was sent to a lab to be tested for rabies, NBC Connecticut reported. So this is weird. So I thought there's one guy. So one guy gets attacked by a bobcat, but now there's 3 adults. I guess those are the other counselors, maybe the ones who killed the bobcat. There's 9 minors. So the adults went to the hospital. They just did go support their buddy? Did anyone else get hurt? Like, how did they kill this thing? That's what I want to know. I feel like there's some more collateral damage. Did they try to choke it out? You know, did they try to catch it with their bare hands? How do you kill a bobcat without dogs? Or trap, they didn't trap it. They huck rocks at it. What did they do? How'd they kill the bobcat? We'll never know. Bobcat that attacked youth camp leader in Lyme tested positive for rabies. Ruh-roh. The leader and 2 other adults who were leading the camping trip last Friday managed to kill the bobcat. Okay, so this is a little rehash of the story. This is from a different news story. The animal's remains were taken to the public health laboratory where it tested positive for rabies, a spokesperson for the Department of Energy and Environmental Protection confirmed on Monday. So, man, bad deal for that guy in the hammock because he got attacked by a little kitty and that cat had rabies. So, pretty bad news for him. Moving on. Canadian hiker brings shotgun to national park, shoots black bear because he was scared, and the judge didn't buy it. Let's see. I'm pretty sure this news story is coming from... This is from Outdoor Life. Okay? So, Canada, hiker, national park. He brings a shotgun with him because he's scared of bears. All right? And that's a no-no, apparently, in Canada. You can't bring shotguns to national parks. It doesn't work like that. A Canadian man pled guilty on Wednesday to violating a federal hunting restriction in Jasper National Park, CBC News reports. The violation stems from an incident that took place in August 2022 when he brought a shotgun into the park and shot a black bear with it. Kind of sounds like he just was hunting. Poaching, rather. Serge Painchard, a 42-year-old Edmonton resident, claimed in court that he didn't know it was against the law to carry a firearm in a national park. Oh, that's funny. He said he brought the shotgun along and decided to use it because he was scared. Okay, so if you're going to bring a gun, I'm not telling you to commit a crime, but why would you bring a freaking full-size shotgun? And it doesn't sound like it was a short one. Like they would definitely say if it was a sawed-off shotgun, because that's add some spiciness to the story. He brings a full-on shotgun to a national park. You're not even hiding it. How'd he get into the national park? The national parks I've been to, you kind of have to There's like a little checkpoint or something. Aren't there checkpoints at national parks? I don't know. Seems suspect. Justice Rosanna Sachamani soundly rejected this defense and ordered Painshaw to pay a fine of $7,500 or $7,500 Canadian, roughly 56.40 USD within a year. The prosecuting attorney pushed for heftier fines and a 2-year probation on owning firearms, but the court was lenient because Painshaw cooperated and had no criminal record. Okay, so he got to keep his shotgun. Good for him. That would pretty much apply. Oh, that would apply to pretty much every single person in your situation. Sachamani told Painshaw. So the judge said, we're all afraid of bears. Oh. According to court records, Painshaw and his 2 friends set out to hike the Overlander Trail on the morning of August 6th. He brought a Mossberg Model 510 20 gauge, which he carried loaded and openly on the trail. At some point after crossing paths with several other hikers, Painshaw decided to turn around and hike back alone while his friends continued on. Around 12:15 p.m., he came across a black bear that was roughly 100 feet away on the far side of a creek. Okay, so he got scared of the bear and it's 100 feet away across a creek. I guess bears are freaking crazy fast. They could cover that no problem. So, okay, maybe he's legitimately scared. That's fine. Painshaw then became scared and fired a warning shot in the bear's direction. The bear shuddered and took a few steps forward, at which point Painshaw fired a second shot, striking the bear. The black bear rolled down a bank and ran off into the woods. One of Painshaw's friends heard the 2 shots and called park wardens. Who came to investigate. They discovered 2 empty shotgun shells along with traces of blood at the scene, but the bear was never found. Oh man, people get pretty creative, don't they? All right, moving on. Oh, that's it. Well, sorry, dude. Sounds like you kind of deserved the fine. I mean, it's kind of hard to have sympathy for you doing something so stupid. Sorry, bro. All right, so now that's the news. Now we're just kind of into the realm of slight absurdity. Okay, so this next story is it's about this thing that happens in England. We have groups of people who spend all their time trying to prove that there are, not only have been, but there are big cats in England, and they're running wild. So the headline, where's this coming from? The headline, and this news story is from the Oxford Mail. Big cat hunters have proof they are running wild in Cotswolds. Okay, and so the picture you see on the screen, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple, all of this is a video podcast as well, so you can watch the videos on YouTube and see the visuals I'm talking about. So this picture here is it's a photograph of a forest, some trees. Like the photo is taken through the trees, and circled is this creature that honestly, this head-on shot, it looks like an Airedale. It's so blurry. I don't know how you can prove that that's a cat. Big cat enthusiasts claim to have photographic proof of a predator roaming the Cotswolds, picked up on trail cameras. Okay, so it's trail cameras. I thought they actually shot the photo, but I guess it's just camera trap. Andy Rule, 53, and wife Claire, 50, have spent more than a decade tracking big cats. They set up trail cameras in woodland near Nymphsfield, Gloucestershire, years ago in the hope of snapping a beast. And their work has now paid off, they say, as their cameras picked up images of a cat in the wild. Mr. Rule, a former carer from Stroud, what the hell is a carer, said, "We've had 3 cameras over half a mile that have picked up glimpses in that area." Glimpses. Quote, "What I believe the cat is doing is sniffing the ground." End quote. So I think that's what he's saying. He thinks that it's doing in the photo. Quote, I believe this cat we've now seen seems to be showing quite a bit of gray, so I think it's a bit older. Oh my God, they're giving it a backstory. That's hilarious. Most of the images we've caught are pure luck because the cats are scooting around the edges of them. Oh, so these big cats, they actually know about the cameras, and they're scooting around them. They're avoiding them. I bet that's what's happening too. The couple's pictures follow reports that DNA from a black hare caught on a barbed wire fence following a sheep attack has offered definitive proof that big cats are roaming the British countryside. Okay, so not only are there big cats, they're big black cats. Okay, we're talking about black panthers, baby. Not just a common puma, we're talking about black panthers in England, roaming wild in the countryside. The strands of hair were sent off for testing after being recovered from a farm in Gloucestershire where there had been some unusual predatory activity. And documentary makers who have been investigating sightings across the UK say that the test has now come back positive and confirmed the existence of black panthers and other big cats living in the UK. Quote, people in Gloucestershire and Britain have described what appear to be black leopards for decades. So a leopard DNA result from a black hair sample is unsurprising. Okay, so they're saying there's black leopards. Black leopards in England. I guess I could see it. I guess it is within the realm of possibility if, let's say, there was some that were in captivity and they escaped. Okay, I know that does happen. I mean, years ago, I don't know if you probably remember, I think it was in Chicago, some crazy guy, a crazy rich, filthy rich guy who had his own, I don't know what you call it, his own adult petting zoo. I don't know what you call it, but he had a whole crapload of bears and lions and all these exotic animals. And he lost his mind, which maybe he had lost it to begin with. Maybe he never had it to begin with. He lost his mind, turned all of his animals loose into Chicago, and then he offed himself. He went night-night. And then, yeah, so there was these like bears and lions roaming the streets of Chicago, and the police had to shoot them all or something. It was a long time ago. Anyways, so I've also heard of similar things happening here in Oregon. My friend Charlie. I don't know how I feel about this story, Charlie. I know you're listening. The whole story about the guy who had like wolves and stuff he had other exotic animals, and then they all got out, and now there's wolves in the Coast Range. Maybe. I know you have the trail cam picture, but I'm still skeptical. Okay, but I know animals get out of these captive operations. It's possible. But the fact that there are black leopards in UK is hilarious to me. And it's even funnier that there are people who spend all their time trying to track them down. I mean, hey, I guess we hunt Bigfoot out here in Oregon. I don't personally hunt Bigfoot. I don't necessarily think it's fake. Could Bigfoot exist? Maybe. Maybe so. I feel like my dogs would have found one by now because they're so trashy. But that's the thing. If they want to prove that there are big cats in the UK like they think there are, they need to take a pack of proper hounds, proper cat dogs. They need to take it to wherever they found this wherever the trail cameras were that caught this animal on their video or on their film. A proper pack of cat hounds must go there. They must find the cat. There's plenty of good dogs in this world. If they really wanted to prove that they exist, that's what needs to happen. So someone make it happen. If you have a pack of dogs that can hunt a black leopard, I wouldn't do that with my own dogs because I like them too much. Nothing wrong with leopard hunting. I know that's a big deal. My dogs wouldn't know how to do it, and they'd probably get killed pretty quickly. But if you have a pack of leopard hounds, you got to go to the UK and catch one of them. It'll be awesome. We got a couple of pictures. There's a couple other pictures. So this one here, if you're watching, this looks like a side. So the body's behind a tree, and you just see the profile of its face and like its head and its snout. But it looks so strange. It almost looks like a hippo head. Or that does not look like a cat to me. It looks like a demon. Maybe they found a demon. Isn't Harry Potter from England? UK? Maybe they found maybe they actually found a mythical creature. Maybe that's more likely. Because that doesn't look like a cat to me. It either looks like a mini horse or some kind of demon. And then here's another one. Oh yeah, I zoomed in on it. So this is that same one. So okay, that looks like the nose. I don't have a pointer on the screen, so you'll just have to trust me. But yeah, my mouse doesn't show up on the screen. It looks like a mouth. Is that an eye or is that a nose? That does not look like a cat to me. Not even a little bit. Are those the ears? The dark spot. The dark spot, is that the ears? I'm not buying it. I'm not buying it. I don't think that's what they think it is. But what this brought to mind, this story, I don't know if you listened a handful of episodes ago. We did a little bookshelf segment where I read from the book called The Master of Game, which is by Edward, 2nd Duke of York, and it is the oldest English book on hunting. Okay? So I love that book. I love just scanning through it, finding interesting little tidbits. But I read on that previous episode, I read the chapter that's on wildcats. So the book is broken down into, they talk about the different types of hounds, and but they start by talking about the different types of prey that they would hunt. And one of those is wildcats. Now, 2nd Duke of York is in the UK. Okay, so this Duke of York, he was in the UK. Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, he's in the UK talking about these wildcats. But I actually found out so that Edward's 2nd Duke of York, he didn't write the book. He basically translated it from an older book. And that older book was written in French, and it's called Les Chasses. Lecchasse, which I believe just means the hunt. We'll come back to this section here. So here's Edward of Norwich, which is the Duke of York. So this is the guy who wrote the Master of Game book, or really just kind of translated it and judged it up a little bit, it sounds like. But the original book that he was referencing was La Chasse, it's called Livre de Chasse. So Livredechasse. That book was written around the time of 1407. Okay. And it was written by a guy named Gaston III, who was the Count of Foix. Okay. And so that's in France. So that homie was talking about wildcats. And so here's that chapter on wildcats. I'll just read this briefly. The cat is a common beast enough, therefore I need not tell of his making, for there be few men that have not seen some of them. Nevertheless, there may be many and diverse kind of cats, after some masters' opinions, and namely of wild cats. Especially there may be some cats as big as leopards, and some men call them guyuni, loup cerviers, and other cat wolves. And this is evil said, for there are neither wolves nor cerviers nor cat wolves. Men might be better to call them cat leopards than otherwise, for they draw more to a leopard kind than to any other beast. They live on such meat as other cats do, save that they take hens in hedges, and goats and sheep. If they find them alone, for they be as big as a wolf, and almost formed and made as a leopard, but their tail is not so long. A greyhound alone could not take one of them. Okay, so he's describing these wild cats that they would hunt, and they would hunt them with dogs, which is extremely badass. And he's talking about different types of cats. Cat wolves. What is he talking about? And this is like in France. But Edward Duke of York, he was in England. So was he experiencing this too in the UK? And if so, are people still actually catching glimpses of these same, species of feline? I just have so many questions about this. I really need to find a historian who knows about this stuff and who can actually answer some of these questions. There's got to be somebody out there like that. If you know of any historians who know about like medieval hunting or ancient hunting practices, specifically in Europe, I want to talk to that person because this is just super fascinating to me. But this historical text is kind of validating what these big cat hunters in the UK are doing, and they're trying, and it kind of validates that, hey, they might actually find one of these things. Let's hope they got some dogs with them. They need to be using dogs. If you're going to be looking for a cat, get some cat hounds, people. Quit wasting time. I just don't get it. Anyways, yeah, and with that is pretty much everything I have for you today. So let me hop back over to here we go, my intro screen. So up here, that's Rue, and that is Cooley. So those have been my two kind of main dogs last couple of years. The dogs in the box there, the one on the left, that's Clover. And then the one on the right is Bruno, I think. Or maybe opposite. I don't know. Can't really tell from that angle. Those are my blue pups. And yeah, I just thought it'd be fun to have a little different background for the intro today. Anyways, thank you all for tuning in. Be sure to check out the live streams that we're doing on Monday nights, like I mentioned. Those are on the Interviews, Stories, and Tales YouTube channel. Brett Vaughn, Chris Watson, George Lambert, Johnny from Uncle Papa Johnny. It's going to be popping off. So we're doing that Monday night, which I guess we're doing it on Monday nights, and I hope to see you there. In the meantime, be sure to subscribe to Hound on the Run on YouTube. Follow us on Spotify and Apple. Just follow us everywhere. Follow us on Instagram. Find me on Facebook. I don't really post anything on the Hound on the Run Facebook page, but I plan on getting that rolling here in the future. I just got so much going on. It's insane. I also have my audiobook that's going to be coming out soon. So keep an eye out for that. Subscribe to my newsletter. That's at houndontherun.com. And that's all I got for you today. And also with this podcast, I'm an experimental person. I don't like just sticking to one thing. I like experimenting with a lot of things until I find that awesome combination. So that's why I want to try a solo episode just to see how that went. Let me know. Again, you can give us a call at 971-301-4884 if you want to, speak your mind. Anyways, I appreciate you all for tuning in, and I will check you later.